floppy disk to save. Once you've printed your report, click on that. Click on the yellow folder with the arrow going into close. Anytime you hover over these icons up top, it's going to tell you what it does. Oh yeah, let me do this one, run a pulmonary consult. So this is your pulmonary consult. And we're going to start by going to options. And typically once you do this the first time, it will hold those settings. I'm going to click on pulmonary. This is where I would click my physician name. Once you add your physicians, they should be on there. And then we're going to choose that ATS standard interpretation and then say okay. And then we're going to click on run. And it's going to give you that interpretation, and that will flow to your report.
Okay.
Okay. And then we can save and close that. And now that would be, if we pull that report back up, it would be on your report. And your pulmonologist wants you guys to do that? Run the consult?
Yeah, I mean, right?
So it's basically like, you guys do EKGs?
We don't do any EKGs, we just do spirometry.
Okay. So a lot of times, you know, I would have that conversation with your physicians. I'd maybe print a report with that on there.
Can you print one so I can have him look at it?
And ask him, do you want this on there? In my experience, most pulmonologists don't really care about that because they want to write their own interpretation.
Yeah, and that's my thing, is they normally do like to write their, well, actually, they like what the computer says. So Epic gives the interpretation, we copy the interpretation, and we put it in the note, right? Isn't that what we do?
Yeah.
I don't know if they really pay
How does
attention to
Epic
Denmark.
give the interpretation of the
It's when we
PFT data?
copy the note.
It's
We have it.
based-
Don't we have it on one of the computers? The little green thing.
Yeah, so that's pretty, the interpretation is like the Spiro gives this information just like this.
Okay.
And then the interpretation, we just, if it says normal function test or whatever, we just copy and put it in there for the report. So
Okay.
they probably are gonna want this on there then.
Okay. Yeah.
So how did we do that again? We will go into,
Is there any way to print these efforts on, like, and
I guess my big question is, I can't remember, did you say that once you like set all of the settings for the reports, do they stay global across all patients, or do you have to manually input the settings for like what gets printed, and do you have to do that for each patient when you create them, or
You mean when I create a report or when you create
Yeah.
a patient?
when you create the report?
Once
You
I
go
create a
save.
report, I'll save it and it will get added to that list, and
Okay.
then it will print
You can
the
just
same
click that as
variables for
reset.
every single patient. You don't
Okay.
have to recreate the report with each patient.
Okay.
And I wouldn't recommend, I mean, number one, that's pretty labor intensive, and number two, you don't want to report, you know, this data sets on this patient and different data sets
Right,
on a
right.
different patient. You want it all to be uniform.
Right.
And that doing it on per patient, it just leaves the
Just
door
too
open
much.
for a huge number of errors,
Right.
human errors to happen.
so for the interpretation, you went up to the top, you said.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put a setting on here. So just like it prompts you with your post-test comments, I'm gonna set it so it prompts you to run that.
Interpretation.
So it will auto run that prompt for you.
Okay.
So while you guys are practicing on each other, I'll see what I can find out about adding all of those
Okay.
data points for you.